This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 137 of the Dressage Radio Show, brought to you with the generous support of Equestrian Collections. Hello, I'm Chris Stafford, welcoming you to the first episode of 2012. I hope you've all had a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for joining me again. If you've visited the Dressage Radio Show before and a regular, well, welcome back. And if you are finding us for the first time, well, a very warm welcome to you. You've joined us just over halfway through the FEI Rheem Acro World Cup series, and at the beginning, of course, of an Olympic year. We will be following all the Olympic preparations towards London later this summer, and we will be there to cover the games for you here on the Horse Radio Network. So a very exciting year for us here on the Dressage Radio Show. And speaking of World Cup qualifiers, we're, as I said, halfway through the season now. We have just 3 more qualifiers to go. And we're going to be catching up this week with an Italian rider who's been making the headlines, not least of all because she won a World Cup qualifier just at the end of last year. She won Frankfurt. And that, of course, is Valentina Truppa. So I'm going to bring you that conversation in just a moment. But first, a reminder of our sponsors who make this show possible. Equestrian Collections has a New Year closeout sale of ladies' ERS equestrian shirts with popular brands such as Ovation and Romph, dressage tees to long sleeve shirts and polos for showing, schooling or casual wear. Enjoy the great savings on these shirts while the sale lasts by visiting the website at equestriancollections.com. And if you use coupon code HRN at the checkout, you'll get $10 off your next order of $100 or more. Equestrian Collections is a participating retailer of the Horse World Gives Back campaign. Italy's Valentina Truppa is no stranger to international dressage, and although still in her early 20s, she has already become Italy's most successful dressage rider, with 3 wins in World Cup finals for young riders and a winner of 8 European medals. She was twice European champion at young riders. Well, of course, all this before she embarks on her senior career, but she's already made her mark with just the end of last year taking a World Cup qualifier in Frankfurt, right in the heart of German dressage, and beating people like Monica Teodorescu and Patrick Kittel, Isabel Werth, just to name a few. She has 2 Grand Prix campaigners, Remo del Casteno, who she won with at Frankfurt, and Chablis in her stable there in Monteferrato in northern Italy. Well, I was able to catch up with Valentina and find out more about her operation and what motivates her, and not least of all, her ambitions and plans for 2012. Well, Valentina, welcome to the show, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for calling me, and I'm very happy to be on the radio.
We're speaking to you from home in northern Italy.
Yes, exactly. I live in the north of Italy, close to Torino, and I have my stable close to my home. And
that is for our listeners in Italy will possibly know Monferrato, which is a very nice part.
Yes, exactly.
Of northern Italy. And you're there. It's a family business, is it, with the horses?
Yes. Most of all, it's my business with horses because for my father it was only an hobby. it became a sort of job because he's my trainer, and now we are working together every day with the horses.
That, of course, is Dr. Enzo Truppa.
Exactly.
And so now, did he encourage you to go into horses, Valentina?
Yes, because when I was a child, he rode his horses. So I started when I was really young. I was only 3 years old, and I started with horses with him. And then I had my first pony, and then the first horse, and now a lot of horses.
So you started very young, but
yes.
Did you always specialize in dressage, Valentina, or did you try to do some jumping also?
No. At the beginning, my father let me choose what I want to do, and until 12, 13, more or less, I did a little bit of jumping too.
But why did you specialize in dressage? I'm always interested to hear why people, they may try other things, but then they come to dressage, and this is where you're specializing now.
But the first reason was because my father was a dressage rider. The second reason, because in jumping I was not so good like in dressage. So at the end, dressage was better for me.
That's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
Now, did you have brothers or sisters, fratelli, that wanted to also ride, or were you the only child?
No, I have a brother elder than me, but he is not interested in horses. He's I think he's in English is a designer, comics designer, if possible.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And not interested in horses.
So it was just, what does your mother think of all this, or does she accept it that your father was the influence and then you followed? So does she have any involvement, or does she come to the shows? And
Yes. My mother is my first fan, I think. But I must say, when I was a child, of course I had the pony, but I tried some other sports. As you know, at school I tried some volleyball and something like this, because when I was really young, for my parents was a good thing that I tried some other things, and at the end I decided to do dressage and work with horses.
Okay, so tell us what happened after you left school then. What was, because you're just 25 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened from the time you left school until now, Valentina? Because we should explain that you wear a uniform when you're competing. Yeah. So I'm sure people would be interested to hear how that came about.
Okay, I finished my school when I was 19, because in Italy, as you know, you finish when you are 19, and after that I tried to start with the university, but here in my city it's not so easy, because we have not enough possible to choose which university you want to do. So I had to travel in another town, but it was a little bit difficult for me. Riding and traveling it was difficult. So at the end I decided to only to work with horses. And when I was 18, I entered in the army, in the Carabinieri army. So now is 7 years that I wear the uniform, and this uniform is the uniform of a special team of the army, who is the team of the President of the Republic here in Italy. So it's something really special.
The Carabinieri, of course, is well known. It is a special army, as you said. So what is your role then when you're not doing dressage, Valentina? What is your role with the Carabinieri now?
A lot of people think that I go, for example, in the street or something like that with my uniform, but there is a special team only for sports, and we have to do, our job is to have good results in our sports, and we have team in equestrian sport, or for example swimming or skiing. There are lots of small team in every sport for Carabinieri, or for example there is the same thing for police, is the same.
Right, so how much of your time is in the Carabinieri now?
I am in the team of Carabinieri since 2004.
2004. And how much of the time now each day are you are you competing? Are you taking part in your responsibilities for the Carabinieri? How much of your each day?
Every day, my only job is training myself for the competition. I only wear the uniform when I compete in the competition.
That's wonderful.
So the job is training myself to win or to do my best in the competition.
Right. Well, those listeners with a long memory will remember that Raimondo Dinzeo, of course, the famous Italian show jumper, he was in the Carabinieri, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk about the horses that you have now, Valentina, because you have been doing so well on the World Cup series this winter with your win in Frankfurt last year, that with the Remo del Castino. That was obviously a big performance for you and an important one.
Yes, the test in Frankfurt last year was really, I think, my best result for 2011. And this horse is a really special horse for me because we bought him when he was only 6 months, and we trained him for all his life. And he's an Italian horse, so we are an Italian pair. So it's a special thing for me and for my federation and for everybody here in Italy.
Yes, it really is. So you had him for quite a long time then already.
Yeah.
Quite a good partnership. And tell us about the other horses that you have in your stable in Monferrato.
I have my other Grand Prix horse, the name is Chablis. I think someone remember him because I won Young Rider European Championship and 2 World Cup Young Rider with him. And now I'm riding him in Grand Prix, and I won with him last year in Lipizza, the first World Cup in East Europe, and I was 4 with him in Lyon, another World Cup. And then I have other horses, but they are really younger than these 2.
How many do you have in total?
With Eremo, Chablis, and the others, in this moment we have more or less 9-10 horses.
Oh, and they are all doing dressage. Are you riding all of them, Valentina? Do you school and work each of them every day?
Yes, I start with them when they are at the end of 3 years old. And I ride them until they go. I hope they go to Grand Prix one day.
Yes. Well, tell us, which breeds do you prefer? Tell us about the horses that you have and what is your preference for breeding types? Where do you get your horses?
In this moment we have a lot of Italian horses, but we say Italian horses, but the bloodline are Noveranian because, as you know, for example, Eremo, I tell you this. An Italian horses, but he is Rodiamant Meyer, so it's not so Italian. So at the end, we have a lot of an Noveranian bloodline, and I really like, for example, Chablis, or I have another one. Is they both are Danish warm blood. Is another line I like a lot. So these Noveranian and Danish warm blood.
And the Danish warm blood. Now, do you prefer stallions, Valentina, or do you mind whether it is a stallion or gelding or a mare? Which is your preference?
I prefer gelding because I think the sport horse is the gelding, I think, because with stallion and mare you have some problem, as you know. But for example, this year we bought the full sister of Eremo is a mare, but as you know, Eremo is a very good horse, so is a mare. But we took her. I prefer a gelding, but we took her as a mare.
Now, what is Eremo like as a horse to ride? What sort of temperament does Eremo?
It's not so easy because he has a lot of power. I think you can see in the competition there is a lot of power in him, but he's really it's really for me with him, because as I told you, I rode him. I'm riding him since he was 6 months, since he was 3 years old, and he is by heart since he was 6 months. So I really know everything about this horse. But I must say, when you are in a competition, he is really powerful.
Is he very strong?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not very tall, are you,
No,
Valentina?
I'm not tall. I only 1.60 meters.
Right. So it is obviously credit to you that you're able to harness the power and the strength of Eremo. And so, what type of personality do you like with a horse for dressage? Because you bring them up from a young age. So, what is it that you are looking for in that young horse?
I think for a dressage horse, it needs for sure big movements and nice movements. I like the horses with a strong character, but not against the rider. I don't know if it's easy to understand what I say.
Yes,
because
yes.
Yeah. No, I don't like the cow. I prefer a little bit of energy in a horse.
Right. Stay in front of the leg always, huh?
Exactly.
Well, of course, 2012 is a very big year in Europe with the London Olympic Games, Valentina, and that must be your main focus, is it? To make the Italian team. You have a very good chance, obviously, of making the Italian team. So tell us about your season. What will 2012 look like for you? What will your campaign be starting now in the spring? We're now in January, so tell us what we can expect to see from Valentina Truppa as you prepare for the Olympic Games.
I will go with Eremo to the World Cup in Amsterdam on the 22 of January, more or less. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I want to give a little bit of break to the horse, because we had a lot of competition this winter, and I wait for the final World Cup in Hertogenbosch. So this will be the first important competition for me. Mm-hmm. And then I think I will compete in some big CDI here in Europe. For example, I think I will go to München and then Aachen, I think. Mm-hmm. And then we focus on the Olympic Games in London.
And what is the Italian selection procedure, Valentino? What do you have to go to certain competitions? When will they announce the final selection team for the Olympics?
For the Olympic Games, we don't have a team. We didn't qualify at the European Championship, so I will go there as individual to the Olympic Games.
So do they tell you which competitions that you must ride in as a preparation for the Games, or do they leave it to you to decide?
They leave me to decide, but I think that the best will be Aachen, and then we will see, because in Aachen I think there will be I don't know if there will be the team of the Olympics, but I think so.
Right. Now, will you take both horses to Aachen?
No, I think in Aachen I will go only with Eremo, because I want to focus on him.
Right.
Because it's an important show.
Yes, of course, and he would be your Olympic ride.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, it's a very, very exciting year ahead, Valentina, and a wonderful start with your World Cup successes over the winter. You must be feeling really good about where you are just now.
Yes, because in the ranking list of the World Cup in this moment I am second.
Second, yes.
But I have only 3 results, because the first one is Patrick Kittel, but he has 4 competition. I have only 3 results, 3 competition. I am second, so I can expect something more after Amsterdam.
Yes, and we should mention, as you said, Patrick Kittel has 54 points now currently in the standings. Yeah. You have 53.
Yes, only one.
Yes, only one difference. And then Tina Silfson is in third place with 52. So very close between the top three, but just 1 point between you. Well, Valentina, it's great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us here on the show. And I want to wish you the very best of luck for 2012. Keep up the good work and obviously the hard work that you're putting into these young horses, producing these really good Grand Prix horses.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we'll keep in touch with you through the summer and watch your progress and hopefully catch up with you at the Olympic Games in London later this year.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Valentina.
Bye.
You can find out more about Valentina by visiting her website, and we'll put a link on our show notes at dressageradio.com, as always. And just to remind you, because I do get asked if you can listen to previous episodes or, way back. And, of course, you can listen to all of the Dressage Radio Show by going to the Dressage Radio Show website at dressageradio.com, or you can download all of those episodes onto your smartphone or your MP3 player by going to iTunes. Or if you prefer to listen to them using an app on your smartphone, there are two apps that I particularly like. One is Hallway Feeds, that carries all of our shows here on the network, and the other one is Instacast. Instacast automatically downloads all of the episodes that you subscribe to, and of course the Dressage Radio Show and all of the shows here on the network are free to listen to anytime, anywhere. And just to recap on our plans for this year, I will be following the Olympic Games preparations from around the world leading up to London Olympics in the summer, and I will be there in London to cover the sport for you here on the Dressage Radio Show. But way before that, of course, we've got the World Cup finals in Hertogenbosch in April. And prior to that, I will be down in Wellington for the Dressage Masters following all the action down there in Wellington, Florida. We'll be catching up with many of the riders who've been on the show here and bringing you an episode from Wellington itself. And I'll be on the road there for a couple of weeks and bringing you some action on the other shows that I do, the Eventing Radio Show and the Jumping Radio Show, and enjoying some Florida sunshine too. So can't complain about that. If you have any special requests, do send me an email to chris@horseradionetwork.com if there's anyone that you would like to hear from. Not just in Wellington, of course, but anywhere around the world. Do send me those suggestions or post them on our Facebook fan page. Well, that's our show for this week. I'm looking forward to a very exciting 2012 with you, bringing you more news, views and interviews from around the world of dressage and around the globe. And if you're interested in eventing or know anyone who is, you can follow the Eventing Radio Show over at eventingradio.com or on iTunes. On this week's episode, we're going to be covering cross-country course design and the evolution of that, talking to 4 experts in the sport. And on the Jumping Radio Show, we're going to begin a series with Richard Jeffries, who's a well-known course designer, on the evolution of show jumping course design in the Olympic Games. And we also have our veterinary segment with Dr. Jenny Johnson looking at joint therapies. So tune in over there if you're interested in joint therapies, because that obviously can affect dressage horses as well as jumpers. And finally, if you're interested in hearing about the lives of equestrian legends, well, we have just the show for you over at equestrianlegends.com. Well, that's it from me this week. Again, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Good luck with your horses wherever you are in the world. I hope you have a fun and prosperous 2012 season. I'll be back next week to bring you more stories from around the dressage world. Until then, thank you all for listening.